Dear friends, have you ever wondered why some men command deep attraction without saying much? What if I told you the answer is hidden in words most people read but never truly understand? Today, you are about to discover something that may change how you see love forever. These are not just verses, these are principles that can shift how people feel about you. But be warned, misusing this knowledge can backfire in ways you never expected. Many people ignore these truths, and that is why they struggle with attraction. You are here because you want something different, something powerful. This is not magic, this is understanding human nature through divine wisdom. So stay with me because each verse will open your eyes step by step. And by the end, trust me, you may never approach relationships the same way again. Now, the first verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. It says, "He who finds a wife finds good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." Now, this verse is not about chasing. It is about becoming the man worth finding. When you focus on value, women naturally feel drawn to you. Most men fail because they seek approval instead of building themselves. A woman becomes interested when she sees you as a blessing, not a burden. This is where obsession begins, when you represent favor and stability. You do not force attraction, you become the source of it. The energy you carry determines how she responds to you. Confidence rooted in purpose is irresistible. When you walk in this truth, trust me, you stop begging for love. The second verse we'll be looking at is Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 3, which says, "Your name is like perfume poured out." Now, this means your reputation speaks before you even enter a room. Women are attracted to how others perceive you. Your character creates a silent attraction that words cannot. If your name carries respect, interest follows naturally. This is why men who are disciplined seem more desirable. People talk, and those stories build your image. When your life smells like success, people come closer. Your energy becomes addictive without even trying. This is a power most men ignore. The third verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 27, verse 19, which says, "As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart." Now, women read your heart through your actions. You cannot fake authentic energy for long. What you feel inside eventually shows outside. If you are desperate, she will sense it. If you are grounded, she will feel safe. Obsession grows from emotional security. People are drawn to what feels real. Your inner world creates your outer results. Change your heart, and you change your attraction. The fourth verse we'll be looking at is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, which says, "There is a time for everything." Now, this teaches you patience in attraction. Rushing kills interest faster than rejection. When you give space, you create curiosity. Women value what takes time to unfold. You do not need to force connection. Timing builds emotional tension, and tension creates desire. Know when to speak and when to step back. This is how interest turns into obsession. The fifth verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3, which says, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will succeed." A man with purpose is magnetic. Women are attracted to direction, not confusion. When you know where you are going, people will follow. Your focus creates mystery. You do not need to chase attention. Purpose makes you busy, and busy men are desired. When you build your life, you build attraction. Success is a form of silent communication. This is what makes her think about you constantly. The sixth verse we'll be looking at is Matthew chapter 5 verse 16, which says, "Let your light shine before others." Your energy should be seen without explaining yourself. People are drawn to positivity and strength. When you shine, you stand out. Women notice men who are comfortable being themselves. This authenticity builds trust. Trust builds emotional attachments. Attachments leads to deep interest. Your light makes you unforgettable. This is where obsession begins to grow. The seventh verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 20 verse 6, which says, "Many claim to have unfailing love, but a faithful person who can find." Now, loyalty is rare, and rarity creates value. When you are consistent, you stand out immediately. Women test consistency more than words. Most men fail this test without realizing. When you pass, you become different. Difference becomes desirable. Desirable becomes addictive. This is how you separate yourself from the crowd, and this is how you stay in her mind. The eighth verse we'll be looking at is James chapter 1 verse 19, which says, "Be quick to listen and slow to speak." Now, listening is a superpower most men ignore. Women connect emotionally through conversation. When you listen, you understand her word. When you understand, you connect deeply. Connection builds emotional dependency. People are drawn to those who hear them. This makes you different from noisy men. Silence can be more attractive than talking. This is where attraction deepens. The ninth verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1, which says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath." Now you see, calmness is attractive in a chaotic world. Women test your emotional control. If you react, you lose power. If you stay calm, you gain respect. Respect builds attraction. Your response defines your value. Men who control emotions control situations. This is what makes you stand out, and this is what makes her think about you. The 10th verse we'll be looking at today is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 8, which says, "The end of a matter is better than its beginning." Now, this teaches you to leave a strong impression. How you end interactions matters more than how you start. Leave her wanting more. Do not overstay your welcome. Build mystery. Mystery builds interest. Interest builds desire. Desire builds obsession. This is a simple but powerful principle. Master this and you change everything, trust me. The 11th verse we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 22 verse 1, which says, "A good name is more desirable than riches." Now, your character is your real currency. Money attracts attention, but character keeps it. Women value trust over flashiness. Trust builds long-term attraction. This is what creates emotional security. Security creates deep connection, and deep connection leads to obsession. Build your name, not just your image. This is true power. The 12th verse we'll be looking at today is Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, which says, "Think about what is true and noble. Your thoughts shape your energy. Your energy shapes your results." Positive thinking creates positive attraction. People feel your mental state. Negativity pushes people away. Clarity draws people in. Your mind is your magnet. Control it, and you control your presence. This is a hidden secret many miss. Now, the last verse we'll be looking at is Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. It talks about love, joy, peace, and self-control. These qualities create a strong foundation. Women are drawn to emotional stability. Chaos may attract, but stability keeps. Self-control is extremely attractive. It shows power without force. It builds trust and respect. Respect deepens attraction, and attraction can turn into obsession. This is the final key. So dear friends, if this video opened your eyes, do not keep it to yourself. Someone out there needs to hear this message today. I would want you to like this video if you learned something powerful. And also drop a comment and tell me which verse hits you the most. And don't forget to share this with a friend who needs to hear this truth right now. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel for more deep revelation. So that's all about today's video. See you in my next video and bye for now.